All right. Well, everyone, it seems like our live stream is going to be functioning at the moment, which is fantastic. My name is Nick Matson. I'm recording here once again from the Hayden Library. I'm one of the librarians as a part of the Newfangled Middle School Book Club, and I just want to welcome you here today. And I want to let you know that this month we're reading the book Beyond the Laughing Sky. And our books for November and December and leading all the way through into the spring, those are going to be books that you are going to be selecting. We haven't quite got that Survey Monkey out for you guys to choose which books you would like to do. Everyone that came to our face-to-face chat at the end of at the end of September, they were able to cast their votes. We're also going to be doing some school visits this week, and they're going to be able to cast their votes as well. Then we'll give you guys a chance here online to cast your votes and select the books that we're going to be reading for November and December. So that is what's going to be coming up here. For our time today, I wanted to give you a little bit more information about Michelle Cuevas, who was the author of Beyond the Laughing Sky. There was a live chat interview that she did, and it looks like it was with Early Word Books, which is it's an offset of Penguin Young Readers, who are the people that actually did the publishing for Beyond the Laughing Sky. And they did a live stream chat with Michelle Cuevas. They did it through typing and texting and messaging. So we're going to be reading the transcript and some of the questions that they asked Michelle Cuevas and see what she says about her book. So the first question was, Michelle, can you say a few words about the genesis of this book, Nashville's origin story? Michelle says, the genesis of this book, it actually started as a short story I wrote, which is now chapter 5, The Welcome Cake. The story ended with a man and wife finding a baby in an egg. I find myself wondering, well, how did he become? And of course, he became Nashville. So we're going to continue reading a little bit more of this transcript right here and see what you guys think. And then the end of our time, we're actually going to be reading chapter 5 from the book, The Welcome Cake, and that is going to be reading from Beyond the Laughing Sky. I'm going to jump over to Edmodo right now, see if anyone is joining us, and it looks like Brooke is joining us today. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us right now. Looks like we have one other person that's watching, which is fantastic as well. Thank you for watching. And right now we're going to go back to that interview chat with Michelle Cuevas. And let's see here. A question that Michelle was asked was, could you say something about that magical realism element? And in this book, as you can tell, there is certain things that are very realistic about this book. The way that Nashville has his sister, he has his parents, the way that he is treated in the town. But there's also a magical element to it. Obviously, in our world today, there's no such thing as a boy that is half bird and half boy. And so Michelle Cuevas was kind of mixing those magical worlds with that realistic world. And this is what she says about that. I think magical realism was a way for me to explore the idea of being a misfit. A reader may be experiencing bullying, but not for being part bird. I think it's a way to emotionally explore those feelings without it being a technical match to the reader's experience. And Michelle Cuevas says, I also just plain love magical realism. Let's see here. Michelle was also asked, I admire the relationship between Nashville and Junebug. Do you have siblings? I do have siblings, Michelle answered. 3 brothers, 1 older and 2 younger half-brothers. They're great. Looked out for me while I was also teasing. Looks like she was saying, looked out for her while also there was some teasing. Another question that Michelle got was the short story that you mentioned for adults or for kids? And why do you write for kids? And Michelle answered, the short story was in graduate school and for adults, strangely enough. Let's see here. Another question that Michelle got was, there's rich, juicy language and lyrical sentences, and they are a joy to read aloud. Do you read aloud your work as you revise? Michelle answered, I do. During graduate school, I lived in a cabin in the woods, and I'd sit on the porch and read aloud to whatever critters were lurking. Sometimes, when I need extra confidence, I read the cheesy British accent. Everything sounds so much more polished that way. I'm going to pause real quick here. Brooke actually asked us a question over on Edmodo, and she asked, have you decided on our next book? Brooke, we're actually going to be taking a look at the at all of those votes that you guys were able to give us when we did our face-to-face chat here at the Hayden Library. And we have 2 more visits that we're going to be doing to schools in our area. We're going to give those students a chance to vote as well. And after we have taken all of those votes, we're going to see what our books are going to be for November and December. So we should know by the beginning of next week. Now back to that chat with Michelle Cuevas, the author of Beyond the Laughing Sky. Let's see here. Michelle was asked, what does your typical writing day look like? A typical writing day. I wake up and listen to music and dance while making the bed, make tea, and work for at least 2 hours. I write longhand in notebooks early on, drawing a lot, then move to the computer when I'm ready to shape chapters. After lunch, I'll work on any edits. I like to edit almost exclusively outdoors, and always hope it will turn into a Disney movie and the birds will come do the work for me. And let's see here. There was an interesting fact about the title that Michelle Cuevas mentioned in her interview. The title, Beyond the Laughing Sky, was a song that was cut from Disney's Alice in Wonderland. They ended up throwing out the lyrics, but using the music later for the Peter Pan song, Second Star to the Right. Let's see here. Another question that she received was, I was thinking about how gentle this story is. Can you talk about finding the balance between what Kirkus called the underlying melancholy? Michelle answered, great question. I think I've always been drawn to stories that make me laugh and then eventually make me cry. So I suppose it's finding the humor mixed with sadness. She was also asked, are there writers who inspire you? And Michelle answered, so many writers. In graduate school, we wrote for adults, but I always found myself writing crazy stories about talking plants, things like that. I wanted to have more fun. Michelle mentioned my mom, on a whim, mailed me a Kate DiCamillo book, and I thought, oh, I want to do this. Other than Kate DiCamillo, Michelle says she loves E.B. White dearly. I have a photo of him on my desk. And let's see here. What other there was a couple other questions that they asked that I thought might be useful to you as you were watching this chat with us here. Let's see here. It's gonna be done. I think that might actually be. Oh, there we go. Another question that Michelle received was, back to Beyond the Laughing Sky, did you do research on birds? Michelle said, I did and do spend time with lots of birds. I did research for this book with some local ornithologists at the Audubon Society who took me bird banding. She's also done some falconry. So that is where she got some information about the birds that she had in the, as she had that combination of boy and bird in this book. That's where a little bit of her research came from. Looking through a couple more of the questions here. It is a familiar trope of children's books to get rid of the parents. Did you have any inclination to do that? That was a question that Michelle received, and this is her answer to it. My first book featured an orphan. This time I wanted to explore the idea of someone feeling isolated and like they don't fit, even in a sea of familiar love. Oh, and Brooke was saying you have to leave early. That is totally fine, Brooke. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for checking in with us, and we will catch you next time. For logging on, and we'll catch you next time. Responding to Brooke over on Edmodo. And let's see what else happened with Michelle Cuevas here. She was talking about her first book featured an orphan and someone feeling isolated, like they don't fit in, even in a sea of family love. Oh, let's see here. Well, my friends, it looks like those were the main questions that I wanted to mention to you from Michelle Cuevas, who is the author of Beyond the Laughing Sky. We're once again going to give you guys a chance to be voting on what books you would like to read for November and December. We're also going to be doing chats at the local schools, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to be having our first couple of chats at Lakeland Junior High and also at Woodland Middle School. If you'd like us to come to your middle school, talk to your school librarian, or you can message me, and we'll see if we might be able to set up a time to come down to your middle school as well. Right now, they also mentioned it in the text chat with Michelle Cuevas. This book is something that's really enjoyable to read out loud. And I know it's something that I haven't had a chance to read out loud in a little while. And most of the time I'm imagining you all probably don't have a chance to have someone read out loud to you. So right now, I'm actually going to read chapter 5, which was The Welcome Cake. That was what was mentioned in that live chat with Michelle Cuevas. So I thought it'd be appropriate if we read that chapter right now, actually. So I'm going to jump in here with Beyond the Laughing Sky. I'm going to get to chapter 5 here. And this kind of gives you a little bit of information on Nashville and how his parents actually found him. So I'm going to start reading here. Chapter 5, The Welcome Cake. Most evenings, Nashville and Junebug baked a cake. "What's the occasion?" their mother would ask. And of course, they always had an answer. They baked cakes to welcome the first firefly of the season, and cakes to commiserate incurable hiccups, cakes for well-shaped clouds, cakes for bad hair days, and cakes only to be eaten barefoot in the grass. And of course, Nashville explained, when all else fails, there are 364 days of non-birthdays to celebrate each year. And why was Nashville so interested in cakes? Well, a cake had played an instrumental role in his fate. It's where his life story started. Well, sort of, for it most likely started when the eggs fell to the ground, or when they were laid, or for that matter, when the nest was built in the first place. 10 years earlier, Nashville's mother and father had just been married, and moved into a house with a dazzling, oversized window in a small village called Goose Pimple. It was agreed by all who lived there that Goose Pimple was quite simple and quite perfect. The old men sat on the porches drinking sweet tea, the dewy glasses dripping polka dots onto their trousers. Roosters perched on the fence with the red sails on their heads, waving in the wind, their eyes dreaming of the sea-blue sky. Pollen-drunk bees hovered around the honeysuckle bushes. The small town held few surprises, and nothing ever changed. Time circled like a bug on a glass rim, always returning to where it began. Then one morning, surprisingly, something did happen. A bird, a Nashville warbler to be exact, had started to build a nest in the tree outside Nashville's parents' window. Every few minutes it flew away and returned with a new building block. Moss, grass, a twist tie-off of a bread bag, a long strand of hair. Nashville's mother secretly hoped the hair was hers. When the bird laid her 2 eggs, Nashville's mother used paint samples to identify their colors. "Pale cornflower blue," she said, holding up the paint swatch, "with a hint of mint and moss green, and the blotchy spots were a mix of rust and mahogany." She sang to the eggs as well. Nashville's mother had a voice like footsteps in new winter snow. Some say the birds in Goose Pimple sang differently after they heard her. Some say they were never the same. The Goosepimple Library had 4 books about Nashville warblers, and Nashville's mother checked them all out. She learned that the eggs would hatch 2 weeks after being laid. When 2 weeks passed and there were no chicks, she decided to throw them a welcome party. Perhaps it would coax them out. "Excuse me?" her husband said. "You're throwing a party for whom?" "The birds," his wife clucked, wiping flour onto her apron. "The birds will be born any day now." She worked extra hard on the cake. When the 2 large sheets of chocolate were ready, she gently removed them from the pans and used a sharp knife to cut them into the shape of a bird's profile. Her fingers turned blue, mashing berries to color the whipped cream. She spent over 30 minutes drawing the feathers, eyes, and beak with the frosting bag. The cake was perfect. "Warblers aren't blue, dear," said her husband. "I know that," said his wife, "but I don't know how to make gray frosting." Nashville's mother smiled. She smiled the smile of someone who believes a cake can change your fate. She smiled that smile until the morning the eggs disappeared. "Oh my, oh no," she cried. She stuck her head out the window and looked at the branches. The eggs and bird were gone. "The eggs," she wept. "What happened to the eggs?" Her husband did not know. The only thing left in the tree was the nest, surrounded by small white flowers. This made his wife unbearably sad. She went into the kitchen and slid the giant bird-shaped cake into the garbage pail. A cake. What else has the magic to turn eggs, flour, and sugar into a wish? And a cake never shows up on a bad day. Never rings on a humdrum Tuesday to say, "Tough luck, you didn't make the team." No, a cake is there when things are super, when they're better than great. Always a guest of honor at a birthday or a wedding. Always dressed in frosting and wearing its boogie shoes. Which is why it made her husband heartsick to see the cake his wife had worked so hard on smeared down the trash bag. Is there anything sadder than untouched joy in the garbage? Her husband did not think so, which is why he immediately took the trash out to the curb. And there on the sidewalk in front of the house was a broken egg. The egg was open with chipped white edges. Was there anything sadder than an unhatched egg? Her husband did not think so. But where was the other egg? "There you are," said the husband. The egg had rolled off the sidewalk and under the honeysuckle bush. This egg, much like the other, was cracked open. However, what spilled out was not a bird, and it was not dead. The man lifted the creature into his hands and pulled the chips of white and blue shell from its face and eyelids. He smoothed the yellow fluid from its hair and across the crease of its mouth. And this is an illustration that we have in the book at this time, so I wanted to make sure you guys got to see that. "Dear," said her husband when he re-entered the house, "I found the eggs. They were cracked on the sidewalk." "Oh, no, 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 no," the wife cried. "Are they dead?" "Not this one," said the man, handing her the creature. "Why," she whispered, "this is a baby." And it was. Inside the cracked egg, the man had found a perfect human baby. It was small as a baby chick, but healthy and peach-colored and perfect. "We'll name him Nashville," said the new mother, as if it were the most natural thing in the world to find a baby in a cornflower blue egg on the sidewalk. "I just wish," she sighed, "that I hadn't thrown out his welcome cake." So my friends, that was chapter 5 of Beyond the Laughing Sky, and that was actually the thing that got the author, Michelle Cuevas, started on writing the entire book. So I wanted to share that with you. Right now, we don't have a lot of friends that are joining us over on Edmodo, and it's obviously a little bit hard to have a discussion back and forth if you don't have a couple more people that are over there on Edmodo. So I think we're going to end our chat just a little bit early today. We're going to have a chance to be voting on what books we're going to be reading for November and December. And we're also going to have our face-to-face meeting on the 4th Tuesday of this month from 4:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. So please do join us for that. And we will see you guys right here next month on the 2nd Tuesday from 7 to 7:30. And we'll also see you on the 4th Tuesday from 4:30 to 5:30 this month. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I will see you guys this month and also next month. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you later. Bye.